I'm only a bit to be less. Sorry, yeah.
No, you're being so patient because of the immense.
All good. No, that's good musicianship. More than it's just patience lining up. And
you got the goods.
Yeah, right. That's what has over the years has taught me. So it's really working and being patient, listening, and following whatever. But yeah, no, and that's what gives me time to roll with it. So I'm not too give up. But it'll be good.
I think it'll be yummy, and it'll be something you can add to your catalog.
It's true, yeah. I didn't know it, and I really have this down now. This part, so it is a very cool song, and it's really check with us because you guys will the streams will get. So I can go talk to them real quick.
Okay. Should I leave this here or pull it back?
Yeah, that's fine. You can leave it there. I don't. No one else is coming up here that's going to take this.
Fellowship. How are you all on this wonderful day? It's good to be together. Thank you for taking time out of your Sunday to be here. I am the Reverend Charles Loflin. I have the privilege of serving as your summer minister. My clock is ticking, and there's a new arrival coming that I know you're looking forward to. So Reverend Sasha will be here soon. I have opening words to share with you this morning. These are from Betts Weineke. As we gather together this morning, may we learn to recognize and affirm the pieces of possibility, the bits of good that we bring. May we encourage rather than control. May we love rather than possess. May we enable rather than envy, allowing our individual gifts to weave a patchwork of peace. Imagine the soft, deep blue of sensitivity and understanding, or the red energy of creativity, the white heat of conviction, the risky, fragile green of new growth, and the golden flashes of gratitude, the warm rose of love. You see, each of us is indispensable if we are to minister to a broken and wounded world. Together, in our gathered diversity, we form the whole. May it be so.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, new friends and old. Welcome to our shared journey of spirit. We are grateful that you're with us this morning. I am Barbara Castellano-Stasiak, your worship associate this morning, and I'm very pleased to welcome you to today's service. We're a spiritual community that values appreciation and acceptance. we look for ways to empower each other in our spiritual growth, supporting each other through our life journeys of birth, childhood, youth, adulthood, and becoming beloved elders. Being in Sunday services together is one way that we learn who we are together and as individuals. We share in the spiritual practice of listening. And as we are all learning to listen, we understand if you need to leave for a conversation with someone or to help someone. If you get overwhelmed by too much sound, our parlor is a quiet room where you can listen and watch the service. And if you need to talk, you can watch and listen from the library, but we ask you to keep the library a food-free area so it's safe for adults and children who have food allergies. If families have questions about our religious education programming, please speak with our DRE director, Nick Woolwork. Is Nick in here at the moment?
Nick in the back.
Back there. There's
Waving
Nick.
his arms furiously.
It's hard to see again. The color is dark against the door. Our choir is off for the summer, but you can speak about our Sunday music with our music director Michael Rosen. Our AV director, Alex West, is running our equipment back there. And as Charles Loflin said, he will be with us here for July. Our congregational administrator, Katie Julick, is here most weekdays and is happy to get your emails. But Katie asked me to make a special announcement today that tomorrow, Monday, there will be no electricity in this building while our electric service is being converted to a new power panel. So tomorrow you can reach the staff by email, but I guess the phones probably won't be working or something. Anyway, don't come, won't be any electricity. We have many announcements in our order of service online and on paper, and let me share some of those. First of all, there's one that's printed on the back of your program that is actually not happening today, and that's the Jumpstart photo shoot, which has been postponed. But there's one that is happening today that is not printed in your order of service. So, the Adult Programs Committee interest meeting will be happening from 11 to 12 noon, or at least after the service. You can get a cup of coffee and then go upstairs to room 204, which will be large and air-conditioned. And you can join if you have ideas for religious education, community groups, fun social activities, or an interest in participating in Sunday morning small groups. That will be part of our Soul Matters theme and curriculum that Sasha will be helping us follow. Today, July 21st, we will have a table at Diversity Day on the Morristown Green. And you are welcome to go and help out or hang out there for a while. The Green Earth Ministry is collecting used sneakers to be recycled, and the bin is in the coat room. And for pastoral care, you do have access to Reverend Charles Loflin if you need anything special in that line. So, I guess that brings us to our chalice lighting this morning. So Charles will light this chalice as we say our words together, which will be up on the screen in a moment. There we go. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law.
This is our great covenant, to love together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
So you're going to be glad you were here this morning because you're about to hear some really, really good news. Why don't you two come forward?
Good morning, everyone. We're Shari Lowe and Franklin Heller, and we are the co-chairs of your capital campaign. Before we move on, please savor this image. This is the original cover for the Visitor Review book for the beginning of the Deeper Roots, Wider Wings campaign in 2018. We also use that phrase. You'll see there, our resilience rising, because we had just settled that pesky lawsuit.
In 2019, we finished the East End parking lot, and we kept moving forward.
Much else has changed. Katie says that our neighbors frequently ask to use that parking lot, and she's happy to agree. We even received a donation from the grateful family of one of the plaintiffs for letting them use the parking lot when they gathered for his memorial service.
So you all know how far we've come. Look out the window, walk through the door, drive in the parking lot. In April of 2023, the final cost for the building project came in at over $4.8 million. And we still need to raise $1.3 million. Last year on June 4th, we needed $969,000. On that day, you approved the construction under a budget that included a bridge loan payment which is due in August of 2026. You also authorized a possible residual mortgage of up to $400,000 if we could not raise the $969,000 needed to build it and pay the loan off in full.
As of March 3rd, 2024, we needed $510,000. On June 16th, we needed $452,000, just $52,000 to finish the job, then convert the residual on the loan to an up to $400,000 mortgage.
So on June 16th, we challenged you to bring the $52,000 to zero before Reverend Sasha got here on August 1st. Within days of our announcement, new pledges started coming in, and then on July 1st, we got one more pledge, and we reached an incredible milestone. From here on out, we will need less than $400,000. Actually, the outstanding balance is $395,000. The member couldn't be here today, but please come back next Sunday to hear their testimonial about what led to this milestone gift.
Welcome to the mortgage prevention phase of the campaign. While you did authorize that mortgage if needed, the board estimates a $400,000 mortgage would cost about $30,000 a year, and as we keep saying, we just want to pay cash.
So we're calling this the mortgage prevention phase because every additional dollar that you pledge will reduce the need for a mortgage by that same amount. It's a dollar for dollar while we work our way to not having any residual mortgage at all.
That's it. 2 years to go, guys. We're still hoping, all right, as you know, our stretch goal has always been to pay it all in cash. We've raised 95% of the funds that we needed when we started in 2018, and we're continuing to fundraise to bring in that last 5%. We're reaching out beyond our walls. Thanks to one of our newer members, Katie O'Keefe back there, we will shortly be launching a Faithify crowdfunding project to help recoup the cost of our all-gender bathrooms. Faithify is a UU crowdfunding program.
We're also applying for additional grants, which Katie's helping us with. We got one last year for $50,000 and are hopeful of getting more. We also plan to fundraise with alumni and partners, and we've begun that. But we also need your help. We need help in reaching out to alumni and friends who have moved away. So please let us know if you can help us with that outreach.
We're also still hoping for at least one more naming gift for the second classroom in the addition. And there are more naming opportunities. Now, an additional gift is required, but you can include your prior pledges and gifts towards the construction to reach the total required for a naming. You may remain anonymous. You may name the space after yourself or your family or a friend, or you can come up with a name like the Social Justice Classroom or the Emerson Library. Your hearts and imagination are the limit.
So remember, gifts of all sizes matter. It's 1 for 1 now. Sorry.
And there's a song we sang a couple weeks ago. It's number 157, Step by Step, look it up, and it makes this point so clearly. It reminds us that many stones can form an arch, singly, none. Many drops of water turn a mill, singly, none.
So together, but only together, we can get to that last 5%. And as Yogi might have said, it ain't over until it's paid for.
Thank you so much.
So I invite you now to rise in body and or spirit as you are able, and join us as we sing together, We Give Thanks. So you can be seated. I have a time for all ages this morning. So if there's anyone in the room who considers themselves youngish or young at heart, you're welcome to come forward. I need some help, so someone's got to. Hi, how are you? Are you excited to be here today? Yeah? Hi. Good morning. Oh, you're Alice. And who are you? You're Grace. Hi. Didn't get the step you wanted. It's okay. It'll be okay. I promise. Right? And a young at heart. Thank you, Mia. Someone took me up on my invitation. The rest of you, you're going to wish you had, right? That's awesome. So, I have a box here, right? What do you think's in the box? Oh, toys. That would be good. A toy box would be good. I couldn't put very many toys in here, though, could I? What else might be in the box? Anybody have any?
Chocolates.
Chocolates! Wow, you guys have great ideas. Yes, I mean, if I had thought of chocolates, I would have put them in here. There's no doubt about it, right? Because what's better than chocolates in a box?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Subway.
Yes. Yes. Oh, we have a philosopher in the room. Is it a little bit like Schrodinger's cat, I wonder? We don't know about what the box until we open it? Well, you may be right. How would we find out what's in the box?
Open it.
Open it?
Yeah, open it.
But what if there's something dangerous in the box?
Nothing dangerous could fit in except one time.
I don't know. I think something dangerous could fit in here.
Probably paper or something.
Oh, it's probably paper somewhere. Are you a prophet?
There's nothing in here.
I think there is something. Well, let's open it up and see, okay? Oh, there are some pieces of paper in here.
I think we should all take one out.
You know what? I think that's a brilliant idea. They're sticky notes, so they're sticking together a little bit. Everybody should get one, right?
Everyone take one. Don't take two.
Well, take as many as you want till we run out. You want to take one?
I think everybody take one.
They're stuck together.
Yeah.
Yeah?
just
Here you go.
saying.
You hold that one. All right.
I
All right. So, everyone in the crowd, you know what they're wondering right now? What do those notes say? Everybody wants to know.
know what they say.
Do you? Does anyone want to read one of their notes? What's that? Say it into the microphone. What is your note?
Butter pecan ice cream.
Oh, butter pecan ice cream. What is your note?
Blessing out my favorite song for
And
singing alone in my car.
yeah, and apologies for the terrible handwriting. That was not my best subject at school. It says, blasting out my favorite song and singing along when I'm in the car. Yes, I can read it. Let's see. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. It says Monty Python's Holy Grail. Okay, let's read it. Let's see. It says, reading a great book. Do you like to read?
Yeah.
Yeah, you like good books?
I love reading. Are these fortunes?
Are they fortunes? Ooh.
This was ice cream.
Ice cream, that would be a good fortune. Ice cream's good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby, I cleaned.
Yeah. Here's one. It says getting a voicemail from my brother.
I don't have any siblings.
Oh, well, that can be lucky sometimes. Especially when it comes to Thanksgiving. Just kidding. All right, so, Omia, what have you got?
I have a good one. Air conditioning on those really, really hot days.
Oh. And ice cream?
I cleaned.
What's your favorite kind of ice cream?
Pink.
Pink ice cream. That sounds delicious. That sounds absolutely delicious. So what do you think these things mean? Oh, say that again into the microphone.
A box of gratitudes.
A box of gratitudes. You know what? That's exactly what this is, right? It's it. It's exactly it.
Yeah, it's a balloon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, your parents may blame me later if you have to get ice cream, but I don't know. Maybe it's a day for it. So you can put these back in here. So this is my gratitude box, right? So what do you think I do with a gratitude box? Yeah, gratitude box. Yeah. So what I do sometimes is I'll write down something on one of these pieces of paper, something that I'm grateful for, right? That's right. And it can be anything.
It's the same.
It can be ice cream. It can be my bulldog Rose. It can be something that happened. All those things. And that's right. And guess what? Guess what? You could make your own gratitude box.
Gratitude box.
That's right. And it could be a jar.
A jar.
Or a box. Or an envelope. It's so awesome, right? But part of why I do this is some days I don't feel so happy. Some days I get really sad. Does anyone else ever get sad? Yeah? So, yeah, you get sad some days, right? Yes?
I get sad on days.
Oh, yeah. Saturdays you get sad?
Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah. So, this is something you might want to think about trying with your family, right? That's right. And to create a gratitude box. That's it. Yes. I think we may have a minister in the making here. Yeah. All right. So, we're going to be talking a little bit about gratitude today. Yes, and the things that make us happy. And one of the things that's nice about the gratitude box is on those days when I'm feeling a little down and I'm just not sure, I can open the box and I can read about some things that happen, and it changes my mood. Because that's the magic of gratitude. It's kind of like a magic gift. Yeah, it is, right? Because being in a spirit of gratitude changes us. Yeah. So, my friends, be in gratitude today for everything that there is, because that spirit of gratitude, that's what we need to change our world, right? Thank you. You can go back to your seats now. Well, that was fun. No, seriously, it was. That was a lot of fun. So I appreciate you, because you never know, right? You never know if you're actually going to get participation. And we got some good participation this morning, so thank you. I do have these milestones and passages. If there are any others that didn't get here, you can send them up now. The first one I have here is from Irene Mendelson. It says, the weekend of July 12th, Bob and I had the privilege of going up to southern Vermont to take in some concerts at the music camp that I went to as a teenager. Glorious music. 50 years ago, my younger sister and I went for our very first summer. I feel old, Irene says. I feel old too. Gratitude box can help with that sometimes. Jerry and Marty Weinstein say, looking back at over 40 years of membership this morning, we are grateful for the generations of young and old who gave and give freely of their time, caring, wisdom, and generosity. Our best days are yet to come. May that indeed be so. And then the last milestone and passage that I have here is from Alan Wells. It's a congratulations to Bob and... Not able to make out the name. Joanne? Is that right? Oh, that's a J. I'll have to talk to Alan about those J's. Congratulations to Bob and Joanne Calafori, who celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary yesterday. Isn't that beautiful? So I invite you to make yourself comfortable. Be in this space together. Be present. Take in a deep breath. And I invite you, if you choose, for this moment to let go of whatever you brought with you today. We're always carrying those emotional bags, and sometimes they get heavy. Sometimes you just need to put them down. Maybe not forever, but just put them down long enough to catch a breath, to get a little bit of a break. And to listen to the music. That's a good song. And as we are together, we are grateful. Grateful for the community that is here. grateful for the opportunities to gather, grateful for the mysteries to unravel. The world can be a confusing and dangerous place. We don't know what tomorrow holds. And yet, somehow, we can find moments of gratitude, these little amazing miracles in the everyday and the seemingly mundane. They are, after all, the things that make life worth living. I invite you to join me now in a moment of silence. Spirit of life, is there more to say this morning than to quote those wonderful words from Meister Eckhart? If the only prayer you ever say is thank you, that is enough. Amen. I invite you to rise again in body and spirit as you're able to sing. We sing now together. It'll be on the screen. So the reading I have for us this morning is called The Rabbi and the Secret Name of God. This is a Jewish parable. I first came across this story as recounted in Josie Robinson's book, The Gratitude Jar. There once was a rabbi so wise and devout that he was considered a saint. God had blessed this rabbi with knowledge that no other human possessed. Rumors spread that the rabbi even knew the most secret name of God, a name that was so holy that whoever said it aloud was said to be able to perform any miracle they wished. However, there was a catch. Isn't there always a catch? Whoever said the secret name of God would never achieve salvation, because the name was so holy that it was not meant to be uttered by a human. But one day, a sick man was brought to the rabbi for healing. And this man was so ill that the rabbi realized while the sick one was waiting to see him that he was already on the brink of death. It was too late. The victim would die before any healing could occur. And the rabbi felt hopeless. It was at that moment, in pure desperation, that the rabbi raised his head to heaven and he cried out to God using the secret name, the forbidden name. and he used the miracle to heal the dying man. And miraculously, the man opened his eyes, and he asked for a drink of water and some food, and he thanked the rabbi profusely for the miracle that had just been performed. The man explained to the family gathered around that he had seen the gates of heaven open to welcome him, but had heard the rabbi's voice calling him back to life. He had been brought back from the dead. It was a true miracle. Now, the rabbi's disciples, they stood by and they watched this encounter with disbelief. They could not believe that their teacher had given up salvation by speaking the forbidden name aloud. The disciples became even more shocked when the rabbi started jumping up and down with glee and giving praise to God. So they asked, "How can you rejoice when you have given up all hope for your own salvation?" They were perplexed. And the rabbi said with a smile, "Don't you see? Don't you understand? Finally, I know that I serve God because I love him, not because I hope to get something in return." He continued, "The last doubt has now finally vanished, the doubt I had about my own motives. I know my love for God isn't motivated by greed, but by pure love without the desire for personal gain. So rejoice with me, my friends, for I am free of myself at last." Amen.
Our offering this morning will be split 50-50 with Table of Hope, a Morristown Soup Kitchen where hope starts and the community gathers to share in response to their call for financial assistance and to stay afloat this summer. You can donate via text to give number 73256 with keyword MUUF, followed by the dollar amount. Maybe somebody will teach me how to do that one of these days. Or you can give online at muff.org/give and select Sunday offering on the menu. And now we'll hear Marjorie sing a song called Grateful by John Bucchino.
Instead of counting sheep. It's not a hand you can see, but on the path to enlightenment, this hand is guiding me through delight and despair, holding gently, always there. Grateful, grateful, truly grateful I am. Grateful, grateful, truly blessed and duly grateful. It's not that I don't want a lot, or hope for more, or dream of more, but giving thanks for what I've got makes me so much happier than keeping score in a world that can bring pain. I will take each chance, for I believe whatever the terrain, our feet can learn to dance, whatever stone life may sling. We can moan, we can sing. Grateful, grateful, truly grateful I am. Grateful, grateful, truly blessed and duly grateful. Truly blessed and duly
Thank you, Marjorie. That was really beautiful. Does anyone else hear that high-pitched noise? Yes. I know it's not the sound system. I was wondering. Yeah. I'm just wondering if maybe someone has a hearing aid or something that's. Yeah, that seemed to help. Thanks. So, in 2003, there was a landmark study led by researchers Robert A. Emmons and Michael E. McCullough. This was published in Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. And their research was focused on understanding how people benefit from gratitude. So this is over 20 years ago. Their findings suggested that gratitude may actually improve psychological well-being. And it inspired a whole host of follow-up studies and additional research into the idea. What the research seems to indicate is that expressing gratitude to others benefits us. It benefits our emotional health and our physical health. Among the benefits that are frequently touted, those who express gratitude more frequently have improved sleep, they have lessened anxiety, they have decreased chronic pain, and actually decreased risk of disease. Well, with effects like that, why aren't we all on that gratitude pill? Unsurprisingly, with research like this, gratitude has become something of a buzzword in our culture. You can't help but do an internet search about gratitude and you will get a ton of results. And in fact, the idea of the gratitude jar or the gratitude box, it's a common thing. It's used a lot. The basic idea, at least with the gratitude jar, the gratitude box, is, as we indicated, having some sort of receptacle. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a glass jar. It could be a box. If you're one of those crafty people, there are all kinds of suggestions online for how you can make it look beautiful, bedazzle it to your heart's delight. But the basic functionality of the receptacle, whether it's plain or whether it's decorated, is it's a container for holding your reflections about the things that give you gratitude. So sometimes people will practice the gratitude practice for, say, 30 days. So every day they'll add one thing to the jar, the box. At the end of 30 days, they open it up and they go back and review it. Or as I mentioned earlier, you can use the box whenever you need it, on those days where maybe things don't seem so great. And you can be reminded by yourself of the things that have made you happy. For many people, it's a reminder that there are blessings in life, even on the dark days. And generally speaking, there really aren't any rules about what you could write on those gratitude slips of paper. I mean, they could be simple words, they could be phrases, they could be more detailed recollections and reflections of a particular interaction that you want to remember for a future day. It can be an effective tool for cultivating an awareness of gratitude. And it may not be for you. It may just be another thing and you ain't got time for it. That's okay too. But it's something to think about. Whether you use a gratitude jar or not, the idea of making space in your life for a practice of gratitude, that's the thing that's interesting. Now, gratitude jars aren't the only way to do it. Some people like to journal. I am a journaler, or at least I have been at points in my life. And one of the things I always did when I would start a new journal is I would create a page near the front and I would just label it gratitude. And then whenever something struck me, whenever there was something I wanted to remember, I'd go back to that page and I'd add it. And I have to tell you, there's a certain kind of joy that comes looking back on those old journals, of remembering the journey, of seeing the steps along the way. But whatever tool you choose to use, the key is really consistency. Gratitude is a practice. It's like a muscle. You have to use it for it to be effective. Gratitude is a fascinating concept, and I'm really intrigued by the theological implications of what it means to have gratitude. And the philosophical question of what actually is gratitude. There's a terrific resource that a lot of people don't know about. I mean, I know about it. I went to seminary. They make you do all this weird stuff, right? But there is an online resource called the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. So you can go there and you can put in just about any topic and it will give you sometimes really technical, super heavy philosophical approaches to things. But I went to this resource for gratitude. I wanted to see what it had to say, to look at the application of gratitude as a science in fields such as ethics and psychology and even political philosophy. And here's what I found there that I thought was really interesting. There are from a philosopher's point of view, there are two fundamentally different kinds of gratitude. The first kind of gratitude is called prepositional gratitude, and the second type of gratitude is called propositional gratitude. So what are the differences between the two? Well, prepositional gratitude is named that way because it's almost always expressed in a phrase that contains the preposition to. An example would be this statement. I'm going to pick on you this morning, Barbara. I am grateful to Barbara for serving as the worship associate today. You see, the pattern here is individual A, me, right? I am grateful to individual B, Barbara, for benefit, serving as worship associate. That's the pattern. Individual A is the beneficiary, the person who receives the benefit. Person B is the benefactor, the one who makes the benefit possible, and the benefit is the something, whatever it is. That's prepositional gratitude, and it almost always takes that form. Party A is grateful to party B for X. Propositional gratitude is different. In propositional gratitude, instead of the word to, you're often going to be faced with the phrase that. That is going to be involved. So here's an example. I am grateful that it is not raining today. That is a kind of gratitude as well. Notice in that construct, though, it's a different number of relators, right? So in prepositional gratitude, we have individual A, individual B, and the benefit. So it sort of forms this triangle of relationship. They would call it a triadic relationship. But in propositional form, there are only two actors, right? There is the person who receives the benefit, and then there is the benefit, and that's it. Well, from a philosopher's point of view, the difference between these two things, why it matters, is because prepositional gratitude, the first type, where A is grateful to B for something, that is said to constitute a strong relationship. It is a strong kind of gratitude. It is inherently personal because you're creating a triangulated relationship. Now, if you have heard the term triangulated relationship, you may know that's often not something we want to do. But in this case, it's actually something that's good. Person A, person B, and their relationship is impacted by the benefit. The propositional gratitude, on the other hand, you often could replace the word gratitude in the phrase with the word gladness, and it would essentially hold the exact same meaning. I mean, if I say I'm grateful that it didn't rain today, aren't I really just saying I'm glad it didn't rain today? You see how that's weaker? It's not quite as strong. Prepositional gratitude, I am grateful to Barbara for serving as my worship associate. It implies more than what we might call mere appreciation. When it's used in this way, it may be true that I am truly appreciative of Barbara's service, but in saying that I have gratitude to her, there's the possibility, an implication that there's a stronger connection as a result of the benefit that's received. So I might be signaling by saying that should an opportunity arise where I could take an action that would benefit Barbara, I'm more likely to do that now because the relationship has created something that goes beyond the interaction. But boy, that takes us into an interesting place, doesn't it? We've now moved into a little bit of the inquiry where if we dig into all the philosophical implications, the question becomes, does gratitude come with obligation? And if it does it change the nature of the relationship? What does obligation, whether real or perceived, do in terms of changing the power dynamic between person A and person B? The question we might ask is my gratitude in this example owed to Barbara? When is gratitude obligatory? And philosophers debate this a lot, and it gets really complex really, really quickly. But here are some of the questions they would ask to help determine if gratitude is owed in a particular context. One of the questions they would ask is, well, does Barbara have agency in the relationship? In other words, is the benefit that she's bestowing, is it because Barbara has the ability to do something to make that happen? In other words, is it not passive, but is it active? Because if so, they would suggest that the conditions for some sort of expectation or obligation become stronger if Barbara is acting as an agent. Related to this as well is the question of what is Barbara's intention? Like, it could be that Barbara's providing a benefit that just happens to be. It may still be an agency thing, but it may not have the intention of providing a direct benefit to me. It may just be a side effect. But if there is intention there, perhaps the philosophers say that changes the equation and we worry about obligation. Be careful with intention, though. Intention can derail us. Sometimes intention doesn't matter as much as impact. We may have the best of intentions, but if we do things that are harmful to others, that's not an excuse. Just keep that in mind. How does it change the calculation, I might ask, and the philosophers might ask, if Barbara has actually incurred some kind of liability as a result of the benefit being bestowed? What if there is some cost or some sacrifice or some risk involved? I mean, Barbara's worship associate, so Barbara couldn't sleep in this morning. Maybe that is a cost involved. And if there is a cost and I am aware of it, does that change the formula? Is it still the same kind of gratitude if there is now obligation? And the last one, not the last, but another aspect that philosophers would also ask is, what is my role in terms of consent? In other words, if I actively consent to receiving the benefit, do I create a stronger link for obligation, as opposed to something that happens that I really have no control over? How much gratitude do I have? Even if Barbara does something that's great for me, but I didn't really want her to do it, right? Then my sense of obligation is going to be different in that particular place. Now, many of you are thinking at this point, what is the point? Can you please get to it? It's just gratitude. Why are we talking about all this? Well, here's the crux. I've actually spent a lot of time recently examining the true meaning of gratitude and what it means to cultivate gratitude in my own life. And what I'm finding is that relationship that sometimes exists when gratitude is tied to obligation is a bit fuzzy. It's a little bit like the story of the rabbi that we heard earlier. Am I doing something because I feel obligated to do it? And is that different than if I am doing something purely from a place of love because it fulfills me? It's an interesting question. And it reminds me of a particular story about gratitude that I know from my background, a story that has its roots in the Christian tradition in the New Testament. You might know this story. It's in the Gospel of Luke, and it's one of the narratives that tells about Jesus' experience. In this particular story, Jesus is traveling along the border between Samaria and Galilee, two different countries that really didn't get along, right? And as he's going along and heading into the village, he comes across 10 individuals who have leprosy. Now, in the historical context of the time, leprosy was dangerous. It was considered so highly contagious and so potentially dangerous to the community that when you were confirmed to have leprosy, you had to isolate. You had to go live with the other lepers. And as a result, you were shunned by that society. You literally had to keep physical distance, a lot like COVID. And as a result, those who experienced that marginalization often saw the darkest points of human reality. But that's the story. So these 10 lepers are there, and they've heard these stories that maybe this Jesus, stories may be true, they may not be true, I don't know, but I've heard that he heals people, right? He can just heal people by saying it. So they can't come up to him. They're not permitted to come within a certain distance, but they call out from that distance, from that chasm between them, and they say, "Hey, Jesus, over here. Take mercy on us. Come on, Jesus, do something." And Jesus, according to Luke, says, "Go show yourself to the priests." That's all he says. Doesn't say you are healed. Doesn't say you will be healed. Doesn't say no. Doesn't say yes. He doesn't go and say, oh, I love you so much, and I'm so sad that you're marginalized. He just says, go to the priest. Go show yourself to the priest. Now, that may seem a little callous, but you have to know that that was actually the rule, because even though leprosy, right, often was felt to have no cure, what would happen is sometimes people would recover. It might be that they didn't actually have leprosy, right? But they would get better. And so there were all these rules about how, if you got better, you could be reintegrated in society. And the rules were that to do that, you had to go to the priest. So Jesus isn't actually saying anything all that radical, right? He's basically saying, go show yourselves to the priest. In fact, one could say that Jesus isn't taking any real active part in this, right? He's not promising healing. He's just saying, go show yourselves to the priest. So I imagine they went away a little disappointed, right? They'd heard these stories of this miracle worker. Why wasn't there thunderbolts and lightning? Very, very frightening, right? Something. But no, it's just go show yourselves to the priest. Well, so they do. They head off towards the priest. And the story says that as they're going to the priest, it suddenly starts to dawn on them. The realization comes that they've been cleansed. The leprosy has gone away. A miracle has happened. Wow. Big, big, big event. And so what happens? 10 lepers asked for some help. They didn't think they got it. They're following the directions. They're walking away. And suddenly, Jesus isn't anywhere around now, but suddenly they realize, hey, it looks like it worked. So what happens? One of the 10 turns around and goes back. One of 10 goes back, finds Jesus, and says, oh my God, thank you. 1 in 10 responds to the miracle by expressing gratitude. And see, that's how the story's been used, right? We've been told this is a story about those terrible 9. Those awful 9 people. How could they be so inconsiderate? How could they be so ungrateful? Where are the 9? Because that's what Jesus says. He says, only one of them came back. Where are the 9? Where are the 9? Weren't there 10 of you? Where are the others? Has no one else returned to give thanks? So it's easy to see why this is interpreted often as a parable, as a story about gratitude. And as told that way, it actually brings up that interesting question about what is the relationship between gratitude and obligation, doesn't it? Because what we're really saying is, if that happens to you, you're obligated to go see Jesus. You're obligated to go say thank you. And I just wonder about that, because I think when there's obligation, the nature of what the gratitude is fundamentally different. I don't think Jesus wanted the gratitude. Or at least I don't think he thought of it as something he was owed. And yet, this one person shows up. But maybe that's just the way life is. Our return rate, if it's 10%, that's great. You get 1 out of 10, you're winning. No good deed goes unpunished. You heal 10, but only 1 comes back. Clearly, this is a case of the strong prepositional gratitude, right? There's a relationship. It's Jesus and each of the lepers, and then there's the healing. So it's the strong gratitude. The strong gratitude that has affected relationship. The afflicted is grateful to Jesus for receiving the healing. And it does feel a little bit like if there ever was a case when gratitude was going to be obligatory, this is it, right? This is it. Maybe they do owe Jesus. If that's the case, maybe we get our feelings hurt when the people around us don't show the necessary gratitude. Maybe we get our feelings hurt when we think someone owes us some gratitude. Slippery slope there, my friends. It's easy to get into moral outrage, isn't it? How dare those 9 be so ungrateful? The implication is that if we had been in those shoes, we know we would have been the one who went back, right? Right? Well, here's the other interesting thing. I just don't think that's the part of the story at all. There's a theme that happens in the Gospels, and one of the themes that happens a lot in the book of Luke is the stories about Jesus are stories that turn expectations on their head. Jesus is constantly doing the unexpected thing. And the story is about how our expectations get in the way of our experiences sometimes. It's often asking us to question our underlying assumptions and expectations. Because here's the thing, if this was really a story about you ought to be grateful or else you're not going to receive the blessing, then it seems like the story ought to go that the other 9 don't get healed, or that they lose their healing. Because if the point is you got to be grateful for everything that you received, if you're not, you lose out. That's not the story here. At the end of the story, all 10 are healed. Only 1 comes back. And as I said before, the 9 were doing exactly what Jesus told them to do and exactly what the rules were. They were following the rules. They weren't supposed to do anything else until they saw the priest. That was clear. That was the cultural expectation in this benefit. If anything, the one who goes back is breaking the rules. But my biggest problem with the reading of the story as a condemnation of the 9 is it takes away the beauty of the one who went back. It takes away the power of the miracle of gratitude. It says that the actions of the 9 are more important than the actions of the 1. And I don't believe that. I believe Jesus is celebrating the 1, not condemning the 9. Because I don't think gratitude tied to obligation has the same force as gratitude that emerges out of love. That's how I read it. It's one of the stories of Jesus that turns expectations on its head. Jesus doesn't condemn the 9. He just asks, where are they? Maybe with a smirk. Maybe he knows. Maybe he's curious. One of my favorite books of all time is this fabulous little book. It's out of print now, but it's called The Way of the Wolf. And it's a collection of stories and essays by Martin Bell. Martin Bell was a minister, a storyteller, a singer, a composer, a jack of all trades. And he offers some creative alternatives for what really happened to the 9, for why they didn't go back. Here are some of them, slightly adjusted for my purposes today. Well, it could be that one of them, the first one, was just frightened. They didn't understand what had happened. What is this thing? I've been healed. I mean, I wanted it, but now it's happened and I'm scared, so I'm going to go hide. The second was offended to his core. He didn't have to do anything at all. There wasn't any magic. There wasn't any mud to rub on himself. There weren't any prayers to say. He didn't have to do anything. That's cheap grace, and he doesn't believe in cheap grace. He's offended, and he ain't coming back. What about the third? The third might be an interesting case, because in the process, they might have discovered that really deep down inside, they didn't want to be healed. They had begun to identify themselves with their illness, and they didn't know who they would be without it. Thank you, Jesus, but I'm kind of okay as I was. I don't want to change. What about the fourth? Hard to say. Maybe she just forgot. I mean, that happens. It slips our minds. Life gets busy. Maybe there's no ill intention there whatsoever. Maybe she just forgot. What will we say about the fifth? Well, the fifth no longer had the capacity to say thank you anymore to anyone. Because he had lived with people ostracizing him because of his affliction. He had seen the ugly side of humanity, and he couldn't say thank you anymore, not even to Jesus. The sixth, maybe we can imagine that she was a mother. And maybe when she was diagnosed with her leprosy, she had to give up everything in her world, knowing she could never hold her child again. But then this miracle happens, and she's healed. Maybe she didn't even make it to the priest. Maybe she went straight home in a beeline to hold that precious life again. Jesus gave her the chance to recover everything. The seventh, I think the seventh is a particularly difficult case. He clearly saw the leprosy was gone. He couldn't deny it. The leprosy was gone. But did that have anything to do with Jesus, really? I mean, sometimes people did just get better from leprosy, right? It was rare, but it did happen. And maybe he was just lucky. Maybe he was just one of those lucky ones. And if that's the case, why should he be grateful to Jesus? Jesus didn't do anything. Jesus just said, go see the priest. It's just random. Just one of those things. The eighth, on the other hand, was almost exactly the opposite. The eighth immediately knew deep in their bones that this healer had just done something extraordinary. And their life was never going to be the same. They had to run off and tell every single person they knew. I've been healed. I ain't got time to go back and say thank you. I've got to let everybody know that miracles are real. I've got to get the news out. And what about the ninth, dear friends? Well, the ninth was a rule follower. He followed the exact directions of Jesus and the exact directions of the law. He was supposed to go to the priest, and no matter whether he wanted to give gratitude or not, it didn't matter because the rules were, I got to go see the priest. He was a rule follower. He was going to follow the procedure as written, and he was going to justify it every step along the way. No deviation whatsoever. There wasn't room in his life to adjust to a miracle. Powerful to imagine what if, isn't it? I prefer that story. That when Jesus is saying, where are the nine, it asks us to imagine, where are the nine? Because here's the truth, folks. We might be the one, but the math says we're more likely to be in the nine. Do we have gratitude? Perhaps. Does obligation or expectation impact our gratitude? Perhaps. But genuine, deep, heartfelt gratitude that is nothing shy of a miracle in and of its own right, can't we say, blessed be those who say thank you, and that be enough? Blessed be those who say thank you. Blessed be those who say thank you. It's good to have gratitude. It's good to give thanks, you betcha. And it's also understandable sometimes to not be able to give gratitude, to not be able to give thanks, and that's okay too. But when gratitude surpasses obligation, when it comes from your core, yeah, I'll take some of that, please. May it be so. I invite you to rise in body and spirit as you are able. Our closing song is number 1015, I Know I Can. Good to be together today, my friends. Our benediction comes from Sarah York. We receive fragments of holiness. We receive fragments of holiness, glimpses of eternity, brief moments of insight. So let us gather them up like the precious gifts that they are. And then, renewed by their grace, let's move boldly into the unknown. Move boldly today, my friends. Move boldly.